Morality.
Tonight, we talk about why Silo is still the greatest show on television. Then we take a look at the new exciting season of Strange New Worlds, and conclude tonight with continuing the awesome show that is Star Trek DS9. All this coming up right now on The Writer Brothers. And welcome back to the Writer Brothers Tuesday Night Live Show. I am your host, P.D. York, joined by Mr. Corione, Witch in Residence. Oh, who's got something funny?
Dude, do you? Is it literally just sunglasses all the way down? Because
yeah, I believe somebody had asked about that a while ago, and I was like, oh yeah, I should probably show everybody that that's it. This is me. It's sunglasses.
Yeah, it was really well done. So,
also joining the panel is, of course, our repeat offenders, Mr. Skogli Jotun and Mr. Pollo Zapatos, who for some reason like to keep coming back and listen to me talk about shows and stuff while they all agree with me. There is no disagreeing with Petey on this show, right, guys? Everyone has my opinion, or you get fired.
Yeah, I disagree with that.
Yeah, I'm gonna disagree.
Yeah, so anyway, here's how we take care of that. No, I'm just kidding, of course. All right, let's get everyone back to where they were. We've got a great show planned, but first, we of course like to start off as everybody gets their popcorn and finds their seats with our bit of pop culture news. And Corione, being our pop culture news expert, what are you teeing up for us here? What do we got going?
Well, Kathleen Kennedy was at, of course, the Indiana Jones 5, The Dial of Disappointment, Destiny premiere, and sure enough, who would show up?
Real quick, were you trying to move this video? It doesn't.
No, I haven't yet.
Oh, okay. Yet. All right, just make sure.
But yeah, and who would show up? But Steven Spielberg, Harrison Ford. We got all the big names, right? Including the big man himself, George Lucas. And of course, we've got them talking on stage. And Kathleen Kennedy came up without any fanfare at all. While, Stephen was introducing everybody, right? We've got him introducing George. We've got him introducing Harrison Ford there. And he even introduces John Williams, right? Who comes up on stage. But you know who doesn't get introduced and you know who doesn't get talked about at all? Frank Marshall and Kathleen Kennedy. Because they all just ignore him and turn to the wise and powerful John Williams, who brought everybody in to play live for everybody at the premiere.
Probably the only reason worth going to that event. I mean, I heard the rumors about the Dial of Disappointment, and I heard about all, and I was just like, how do you get worse than the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull? Like,
listen, suck finds a way.
You set your expectations to 0 in life, and people find a way to slip under it. Like, why? It's like it's a game now. Like, how depraved, how stupid can we get?
It's so much like that Dewey meme. I expected nothing.
I expected nothing, and I'm still mad. I know. Still disappointed.
You see, I was going for the instead of life finds a way, suck finds a way.
Finds a way, but you know what? The retribution is here because there were things that you could kind of enjoy about Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. The nuking of the fridge scene was silly, but also like really well done visual spectacle. Of course, it's also about to be made into irrelevance here next month with Oppenheimer. But
it was also like one of the cleanest Indiana Jones filming wise. Like the cameras were the nicest.
It did look good, but then we got to Shia swinging from branches, and
the monkey scene was really something. But I don't know, Kate Blanchett was pretty cool.
Yeah,
and I'll be honest, I really liked the scenes with the bullet ants where they were trying to get away from the ants.
Yeah,
I actually enjoyed that scene. I thought that was kind of cool.
Kind of silly.
I don't like the premise of the aliens in terms of Indiana Jones and where it was going, but what they did with it, if it wasn't Indiana Jones, wasn't that bad. Like, honestly, it would have worked with National Treasure. Nicolas Cage saying that aliens were part of National Treasure, I would have been all,
I don't mind aliens being part of Indiana Jones. I don't know.
I feel like if it was like Tia Carrere and she was doing a Relic Hunter gig and did and did Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, it would probably get praise. Yeah, like it would probably get praise, but because it was Indiana Jones, we expected a certain level of quality, shall we say?
A certain level of...
I wouldn't even say quality, but just consistency back to like where they came from. Like it was the Ark of the Covenant. It was
the Shankara stones from Hindu mythology.
It was always a religious thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and this one they just tried to super tie it all together. Everything's aliens. And it's like you can do that 6 more movies later if you start, incrementing these skulls that aren't skulls. They're these weird faces, and then wait a minute, are these skulls? Oh. But you can't just jump to that conclusion and try to give everything to Shia LaBeouf. He's gonna just do it.
Well, that's just it. They even kind of went dark with that, and they killed him off screen in Vietnam, and
yeah, that's wild. I was shocked when I heard that. I was like, what?
Wow. And then he's gonna get divorced, and it's just all bad for Indy, and it's like, this is not...
Wait, he was already divorced.
No, they got married at the end.
They got
married at the end of Crystal
Skull. This movie's plot is so bad that I'm probably never gonna watch it, so I can't really have a real opinion on it. I'll admit, I play by my own rules, or I still abide by my own rules. No watch, no opinion. But I mean, there's so much in there that I'm not even gonna it doesn't matter because I'm never gonna acknowledge it as part of the Indiana Jones story. I'm now sooner going to accept Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Even though the last Indiana Jones movie we all know is Last Crusade, it's in the title, it's the last Indiana Jones movie, the fan fiction Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is definitely more likely to be canon in my eyes now. That's how
a lot of people these days are saying Crystal Skull is better than the Temple of Doom. Honestly, I've only seen each of them. I've seen Temple of Doom once and Crystal Skull once.
I think-
I've seen the other ones like
You know what we're
dozen
gonna have to do, because it's summertime and there's Indiana Jones in the air. I'm thinking we may need
Are
to
you
do-
Indiana Jonesing here for some movies?
I'm thinking that what Scogli just said bars a comparison special or something along those lines. Because think about it. I think that even when he said that, I was like, you know what? I think there's probably give and take for both movies, and there probably is a case to be made that they're equally garbage. Because I don't
watched
really like Temple
Doom
of
when
Doom.
I was like 14, and I didn't like it. I never watched it again.
It's such a weird movie and such a departure from Raiders of the Lost Ark, and that's why Lost Crusade feels appropriate, because it feels like it gets back to the feel and atmosphere that Raiders
and
brings.
then when I watched Crystal Skull, though, I enjoyed most of it.
Yeah,
And
the
there was
first
some
half does
dumb
feel
shit
like
in
an
it, but
it feels like an
the
Indiana
monkey
Jones
scene-
movie.
the fridge that people lost their mind about. I was mostly okay with it, just whatever.
Well,
And
okay.
the aliens, I
hold
didn't
up.
mind. So,
I think part of
but I've never watched it again.
Yeah, so Parker, what you said about no watch, no opinion, I think in the case of Scogli here, like, can you still consider a 14-year-old watch a
Legit,
watch?
no.
You know?
I
So, like,
don't think
maybe,
so.
like, if we keep trying to find reasons why we didn't like it now, it'll be harder to enjoy it later. Because I feel like I saw it recently, and it kind of worked, but it was definitely not, like, a box office best in terms of the three. But I also still think it was better than Temple of Doom, or not Temple of Doom, but the other one, the Aliens.
Yeah, like I wasn't. I don't know. I was probably 14 when I watched Temple of Doom.
Yes, I think a comparison video would be great, especially because, like, we have all of the bad we've already seen these days. Like, rewatching Deep Space Nine for me as a first-time watcher is better than most of the shows I like try to binge on Netflix these days. So, like,
There's a lot of
it
crap
might
out there.
actually, bring back some hope, and then just get obliterated with Dial of Destroyer fantasies.
It's
Jesus.
yeah. So I think maybe we'll have to talk about it a bit more offline. What's up?
Oh my god, man. The alternate names we're finding for this movie seem to be better than the actual movie at this point.
Which one is it? The Dilated Jones?
The dial F for femnazism. Because and I'm not sorry. There's a difference between forcing it and recognizing that socially men and women are equals.
Having a preferred system and then selling it. Like, you can like what you like, you can think that feminism is the ultimate end all be all, but just like the white supremacists, they have to sell it and they can't. Like,
nope.
It's not worth buying. And just
no ideology is worth going to any extreme. As everyone on this panel who has different various religious extreme, experiences with extremists know. So anyway, what was it, Coria? What are the alternate names that you found?
Well, so far we've got the Dial of Disappointment, the Dial of Dismay,
Dial of Darkness.
The
Dilated Dystopia.
Yeah, the Dilated Dystopia is
dilapidated disc. I don't know.
Yeah. What was it? And there's something
Dial 9 to call out of this universe.
Yeah. It's just been bad, man. Like it's great in that it's terrible, right?
Well, and it's actually kind of nice though to just watch it, all crumble along with the corporate media. I mean,
isn't that so true though? Like, for so long, a lot of people, like, even if you watch movies, like the ones that were supposed to be like busts, like Van Wilder and National Lampoon as a whole, and just like those kinds of shows that were always ragged on for being, too farcical or too childish, and like they don't deserve to be on the main screen. It's like, look what happens when you keep acting like that every single movie you drop. It's like every single movie you're acting like it belongs, but like Shrek, is one of the most iconic movies of our generation, and it was made in the back rooms of DreamWorks as a punishment. Why is it great? Because nobody cared about making it perfect. They just cared about doing their part.
And it was
Yeah.
a masterpiece for that reason.
Exactly. Like Kathleen Kennedy's sitting here, she's like, I have to do my part to change everybody's hearts and minds tomorrow. And it's like, Kathleen, your heart and mind didn't change until yesterday.
You want to know what really... This is... I don't have any hatred for Kathleen Kennedy. I don't have hatred for anybody. Hatred is wasted energy. Hatred is letting people live in your head rent-free. Like, don't...
It's holding on to burning coal.
It's literally... Yeah, you're hurting yourself because you're giving away your energy that you could put to something more productive. Just so that... For what? Like, I get it. I understand. I used to hate people until I realized they don't think about me. They don't give a shit. So why do I? And so that's when I, started realizing, no, there's no point in having hatred for anybody, especially people you don't know personally. I've never met Kathleen Kennedy, so I don't know how she is in real life. I've heard that she's just a pleasant person to avoid. So that's what I'm going to do. I have no interest in meeting Kathleen Kennedy. I don't care about Kathleen Kennedy anymore. Mainly because what she did is sad to watch. Because it didn't have to be this way. She literally
is aggressive.
She literally just had to greenlight projects from Filoni and Favreau and all the other Star Wars fans. And she still, like Rey should have been a much better character, not just for Daisy Ridley, but if Kathleen Kennedy wanted this, cool, super powerful female, there was a way to do it. And it was not the way that we did it. It was just, that was the wrong way to do a good female character. Silo, which we will be talking about here shortly, shows us how to do a good female lead. Like, it's great. So it just makes me sad because she didn't trust the people that already had experience making Star Wars to make it more. Instead, she wanted to invade the boys' space. That's why she gave us the Force is female nonsense. If anything, the Force is both male and female combined. I mean, that's how I look at it. It's kind of a metaphor for what's described in the Bible. But that's a discussion for the Rogue Council. The point is, that was unnecessary. And it was just more conflict and gaslighting to create strife, and it was all why? What's the point? Why do you divide people against each other? Why do you want to create conflict like this, okay? I'm a writer. I like having my conflict exist in my stories. I like having my drama take place on screen. I don't need to make drama for real people in real life, because the thing is, I've been through way too much shit, even just at my age. I don't have time for it. So, and I'm not even anyone important, and I don't have time for this shit. How do these people with $1 million contracts have time to create chaos? And why? Why do they get paid to create chaos?
And why are you listening to the idiot marketer who said that's the best way to make this sell? Like, everybody was talking about all how the contrivance was getting the shares and the views and everything, but then you had 3 bombs. Like, the first Force Awakens, yeah, that was one of their more like major box office hits for sure. But then the second one bombed, not just in comparison to that, but into the first one, but in comparison to all the movies ever.
Yeah,
like,
it was the most controversial Star Wars film of all time.
So it's like, who
and not in a good way.
Working? Yeah, exactly. Who thought any of these like things were gonna work? I bet you it was some kid on the street who said, no, this is what gets all the views on Twitter. And yeah, views on Twitter don't count as box office sales, as you've seen. And everybody who's ever known humans has known that, like, yeah, it's easy to get like a bunch of strife and start getting followers. See Donald Trump. Like, he creates as many things to yell and get people to follow him. And it works because, yeah, people are angry about the things that he's ranting about. But then you get what you get. It's like half the world's mad at him for being mad. And it's like, that's not how you make sales. It's never going to work. The truest
No.
thing that we can really do for ourselves in reality is like, I made this because I like it. I have enough money to make it so that you know it exists. And then go watch it. Because look at that's what James Cameron did with Avatar. Like that whole series has nothing to do with any other thing that we've really ever seen before, except for the combination of sci-fi, space, and aliens. But then James Cameron built his own world, and he's doing every single thing he can to make that world even more real in terms of video games and all that stuff. The same thing George Lucas was doing. But I bet you for sure Kathleen Kennedy would jump in on there. And people like Kathleen Kennedy would be like, you know what the best thing to do is? Take everything you like about this and then say you're going to change it so everybody gets mad at you. And then stay true to your word. It's like, wow. You guys are literally bullying people to try and get sales. And that's going to work about as well as bullying works in reality.
Okay, so you guys have heard me go on the rant about Disney's marketing side and that they did not really understand how to market towards the boys' toy market. Kathleen Kennedy is what I would argue is the true believer in the room. Okay, from what all we've seen, she's the one that legitimately believes that boys, men have had their time in the sun and the time of the woman is now upon us. And that she needs to somehow prove that women are inherently better than men. And trying to manipulate the cultural zeitgeist away from equality and towards, for lack of a better term, estrogenical tyranny is her direction that she wants to go. At least that's what it seems like. And based on all the press releases I've gotten my hands on, based on all the personal research I've done, that's what it seems like with her. And the fun part is she does this routinely until she needs to get a problem fixed, and that's when she'll call in the men to fix the problem.
JJ, come and fix it.
Right. And then, of course, if it succeeds, she can take the credit, and if it fails, she can blame JJ.
Yeah.
Kind of idea. This is the inherent problem with her, but the truth of the matter is, you take a look at that clip. Look, Spielberg, Lucas, Ford, right? All of them know the score. They completely ignored her when she came up on stage, as if she'd been crashing the thing and security just couldn't get to her in time. And eventually Marshall has, there's a clip where Marshall takes her kind of aside for a second, whispers something in her ear, and they both just quietly walk off stage. And all I could think of
I don't think we're supposed to be here.
Well, and all I could think of was, on The Price is Right, when somebody really badly loses at The Price is Right, and they got that dun 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 dun.
Whoa.
That's what it looked like happened to her, and she was just walking off in shame. She somehow
but
managed
someone
to
who loses
bankrupt
on The Price is Right still has their dignity intact.
Well, yeah, right.
I mean that was honestly, I don't think that even being fired at this point is going to be any worse. Getting perp walked out of Lucasfilm is going to make a difference, because that was just the biggest. You got to understand the gravitas of the situation here, okay? Let me try to explain why this is a bigger deal than people are realizing, okay? John Williams is one of the nicest human beings on the planet. He is also, typically pretty apolitical. He doesn't like to get involved in conflicts. He loved making music. He loves when fans rave about his music. He's had fans perform, right outside his house, and he comes out and talks to them and talks about how impressed he is with it. This guy is very down to earth. He does not... Okay, you got snubbed with a mention of John Williams, okay? And he probably had no idea what was actually going on, but he turns around and smiles and gets everybody excited to get ready to be hyped for hearing the Indiana Jones theme live again. And that's That's the bitch slap that you got. It doesn't matter if she gets fired or perp walked at this point, because I don't think we are ever going to actually see the justice that fandom needed to see quite like we did with those seconds. And Spielberg just right across the face without actually having to raise his hand and put her back in her place, because he knows what she was the whole time. He knows that she was trying to claw her way to get up there, and that he found out that the whole plan was, once Star Wars was a big success and Kennedy had quadrupled its value, that she was gonna be like, oh yeah, the thing was my, idea the whole time. And that's the problem, Kathy. You're right, Corione. She's on that. She's actually the super villain here. Like, I'm no longer convinced Kurtzman's actually a super villain. I think Kurtzman listened to the wrong people, and he's just trying to keep his job security, and that's why he wants to do, that's why now he's like slowly getting on board with Star Trek Legacy or whatever, and that's why Strange New Worlds is slowly getting better, it seems, is because Kurt's just a businessman. He's just there
He
to
wants
make money.
to make money.
He was probably told by a bunch of activist underlings, because that's what interns do. They think that politics matter, and so, well, they happen to be at an age of sensitivity where anybody's listening to anybody's ideas, and so they were like, yeah, all this, but make all this stuff. This is popular. This is what people want. And it's like, no,
okay.
People just want good stories first. We don't want politics. Yeah. When good writing is like, fourth or fifth on your list, I'm not even gonna bother with your product. I mean, unless it's meant to be a ridiculous train wreck. Yeah. Story, characters, those are usually about the same. And that's it. Everything else can trickle down from there. So yeah. All right, I think we've covered all we need to in pop culture news. I think we've got a lot of, I think TWB's feelings towards Kathleen Kennedy are pretty much clear at this point. All unanimous that she just, honestly, I don't care about a perp walk. Spielberg, you gave us the most beautiful victory moment in all of it, and I know you did it on purpose, and because you love the fans deep down, and we appreciate you for that still. Still the master. Even though I think Nolan's better. Turning now to, speaking of amazing greatness, Silo on Apple TV is just, if you're not watching it yet,
you're missing out.
Like, you're gonna want to start now. I gotta put emphasis on this delayed release, guys, because there's so much that happens that you really just kind of need the breaks to chew on it. You're probably gonna be able to do 3 or 4 episodes at a time before you're like, okay, there's what just happened. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot that happens. I mean, this is exactly the kind of meat and potatoes storytelling. If you're gonna do a mystery box story arc, this is what it is so far. Now, of course, yes, there's still 2 episodes left for this to train wreck and implode on itself, and I don't think that's going to happen, but stranger things have certainly happened in my lifetime already, so we'll see. But, yeah, I'm still raving. Solid 7 for me. Let's go quickly around the room for a non-spoiler overview. Corione, what about you?
Oh, man. Yeah, this is still this is now a solid 7. We got a banger of an episode here that answered a lot of questions and really, I think, set the stage for the end game of what this is going to look like. So I'm all for it now.
All right, Scogli.
Oh man, this episode was great. Yeah, everything's like busted open now. Like, Jesus, this is and I watched it in a different place this time. So this time I seen the names of the next 2 episodes, and I was like, oh no!
Oops.
So if you haven't seen the titles of this, avoid that.
Oh, I intend to. Thank
I
you.
was like,
Thank you
oh,
for the
Jesus.
warning. No, we appreciate that. So
yeah, I watched it in a different place, and they had all the episodes, the titles up there, and it was just like,
no.
But yeah, no, I'm stoked.
All right, and Pollo Zapatos, your non-spoiler overview.
Yeah, this the action hasn't stopped. Now more than ever, I am frustrated with the episodic release, the weekly release. I don't like that. Mostly because like this is the part, like to me, that was something that was so good about old television shows is there was a 2-hour premiere and a 2-hour finale.
Yeah.
I want that back. Especially in
Oh,
this
you just
is-
want it to be done this week. I gotcha.
Well, yeah, like to me, it's like I'm ramped up to 11 and I'm just holding still. And, you know, I'm like, when are we finally going to fight at Helm's Deep? Like, I just keep getting raged and ready. And then the rain stops and then come back next week. And now we get to start over as we amp it back up to that 11 again. Because they're really good at that soft, subtle reminder where you've been, where you're going. And, oh, by the way, we're on a run. And they just keep doing that to me, and I love it. I'm having a great time.
All right, we're gonna now enter spoiler territory. So if you want to keep going, John.
Yeah, dude, just right out. Biggest spoiler: she jumped. Did the first guy, George, when he jumped, did he have an intended drop that he missed?
He got pushed.
He got pushed. That's right. Okay, so.
Or, you know, probably thrown by judicial at this
Yeah.
point.
But so in that case, where does she drop? Because as far as we've seen, this is like a cylinder staircase and it's just off. Unless there's like I don't know, some kind of, she was at least 3 stories up, right? She went up.
Where did they pick
Around
her
one
up?
level.
Where did they pick her up? They didn't pick her up in mechanical. Like she could.
No,
be
they
hundreds of floors up.
farming.
Farm.
Wherever that
So
was.
that's about
how far
that's
high.
the mids, guys. So
That's-
she still has a long
It's
way
like
to go
70 floors down.
Right, but then she
140
also
floors,
went
right?
like between floors 2 rotations and then jumped. So she doesn't even have like a bridge that's less than 3 stories.
Like,
below.
does she have a like a slick, clean drop to the water?
Does she
the
know that's
water?
there? She can't swim. Nobody can. Or did she
Yeah.
learn? Like, that's why I'm so freaking frustrated right now. Like, that was the most like blue I've ever felt from this show so far, and that is awesome.
Yeah, you know, we've heard of cliffhangers, but a cliff faller? That's a totally new piece of gear there.
Uncharted writing territory, sort of, I guess you could say. And yeah, I don't know what.
Oh no, we've seen it. We've only seen it in music videos though. That
Right.
drop, pause for the drop. Dude, if they wrote this final like this is a bass drop, it better be dirty.
You know what will actually like really freaking surprise me though, is if she ends up falling to her death, and then it turns out there's like, you know, somebody else is supposed to take over. I don't know. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think she's
Oh
gotta
no,
miss
it'll be
it.
the deputy dude. That's been working with
Billings.
her. Billings becomes the sheriff and inherits this mess. That would be a crazy way to deal with the last 2 episodes of this freaking series, or at least season anyway.
Yeah.
When
No,
Billings
it's
becomes the sheriff, I feel like he kind of just like outed himself for the like Twitch thing.
Oh,
I don't know if anyone.
That's how she got away. So I didn't see if anybody saw him. But
Yeah.
like, that was her like, okay, screw it.
He's probably gonna play it off. He's like, "Oh, she hit me, and I didn't think she's gonna hit me, and now I'm in shock, and that's why I'm shaking." And I don't know. I mean, I was very impressed with how we all thought early on. We're like, "Oh, you know, Tim Robbins is a bad guy. He's in on this," and then, you know, I didn't. He was, but he played
Kinda.
off as though he wasn't by accusing the judge of trying to usurp power. And he also played off the awkward guy really well. So it was like, it was like, oh, maybe he is really just genuine. Oh, no, he and Judicial are working together. It's
Yeah, like guys, for anyone who's worked in a corporate office, never doubt that the head of IT is the big bad evil guy in your organization. Never doubt that.
absolute power corrupts absolutely. And there's nothing more corrupt than the head of IT, sitting down, going into the CEO's office, turning the cameras off with their smartphone and going, all right, here's the deal. This in my hand is your company's balls. They are mine now. I have access to all of your security, everything, your emails, your affair. Oops. So here's how much my salary is going to go up and yours is not. And that's,
But see, that's the crazy thing about like what they say about CEOs. They're the guys that go, yeah, no, I was watching you do all of that, and I have the recording of you doing that. So here's your actual salary, pennies on the dollar. Like, just like I don't know. I feel like the thing about IT and CEOs is they're basically the same person. They're just controlling different machines.
Listen, the reason why the head of IT is usually not ever the CEO is because they're not people.
Oh yeah.
Why
Oh
would you
yeah.
even
No, mostly because they can't talk about, like, they can't tell you how they figured it all out in most instances, because in their head they have 18 different limericks that they play as they finish the code.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about the rest of you, but, pandemic or not, I'm keeping the 6 feet. Like, social distancing has been great for me. Like, I'm able to interact with people here on the internet, but I have the safety and security of being in BF nowhere. So,
And it's not offensive to refuse somebody's handshake now.
no.
You're like, yeah, I don't let him touch you. Like, come on.
I will say it
nod.
has gotten a lot harder to navigate the professional world because of the handshake thing. I'm like, I know I'm traditionally supposed to shake your hand, but are we not doing that? And I offended you.
That's
See,
why
I
liked
just
it
show
when
up
we
to
got
meetings with
fist bump.
donuts now, and that's my handshake is, here, go to the box and have a donut on me.
I prefer that. Yeah, bring delicious
that's-
food.
Oh yeah. No, I'm more talking about like trying to get jobs and interviews.
Yeah.
You need a new person every time.
Bring donuts to the interview. I guarantee you'll get the job. If they're like, this dude brings donuts, right? And not like bad donuts too. You got to bring in the
Oh yeah,
quality
box
stuff.
of Krispy Kreme every time.
Yeah. Bring in a box of Krispy Kreme when you go to the interview.
Or,
right?
the far superior Dunkin' Donuts.
Well,
this is
I mean,
I know my donuts.
You take the donut, you dunk it in the coffee. It's the name of the.
Well, no.
Get a D&D old-fashioned with a black coffee.
Although, Scogli, you've got to remember, too, he has not been introduced to the glory that is Tim's.
The primo donuts. You get the primo ones, like the Justin Bieber donut Timbit packs. They are.
Now, okay, y'all might have some special donut places. I mean, come on, I know, Corion, you've at least, what Dunkin' Donuts is.
Oh,
You've been to
I know
East
what Dunkin'
Coast.
Donuts. Dunkin' Donuts, in my opinion, is absolutely the closest the Americans have gotten to the glory that is Tim Hortons.
Did you have Voodoo?
Yeah.
Sorry? Voodoo Donuts?
Be good in Portland.
No,
Voodoo
but I
is
do
pretty-
know, I do know this. I do know where to find the world's greatest gas station fried chicken. And that is Dion's in the Florida Keys. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, gas station chicken is disgusting. Usually.
Yeah, well, what I'm sitting there is going like, this is an interesting curve, because it's like gas station chicken the worst, but this is the best of it. So there's got to be this like one point where it qualifies as slightly better chicken than what you would normally expect. Like,
I
in
like it better than
theory, such a
KFC
thing
if that
exists.
if that gives you a better metric. Like it better than KFC, even like it better than Popeyes.
Popeyes is pretty good.
Yeah. All right. So food break over. I do love when we bust out a discussion about food, though. That's what makes this channel
Might
great.
have to stop at Tim Hortons on my way to work.
Surprise! Oh, hey, you got another job?
yeah, I'm working. I'm doing a overnight stock.
That's
Oh,
what you think.
man.
Our non-compete
Do you get to listen to
is
your own music?
I do.
Mm.
I'm listening to the Luton Warhammer lore. It's just glorious. I just put my earbuds in and I just
man.
work. You just do
Nice.
your own thing. Everybody's got buds in. Nobody talks to you. You just go in there. You grab a pallet. You fuck off with it. Put it in an alley, then you just modular off it with a little cart. It's just great. It's 11 till like 7 in the morning.
Yeah, if I didn't get into cooking, I was actually contemplating a stock job like that. Because, yeah, I could just literally put earbuds in, think about stuff to make and improve the show, think about streaming, think about what to write in my next book. Like, a stock job really is not the worst thing in the world. Yeah, no customers. Don't have to talk to people. It's even great if your coworkers are all on the same page. Hey, we're here to work and go home. Okay.
Yeah, they all are. Everybody's got buds.
Dude, that's how I finished Atlas Shrugged. That's how I finished Henry Ford's biography, Nikola Tesla's biography. Like all of those, I've read so many books.
Richard Dawkins, The Blind Watchmaker. It's like, oh, I'd never get through that normally.
Yeah, audiobooks are a great place for a job like that. And then
anyways.
Now, if I didn't get into cooking, that's probably what I would have gotten into. But cooking has its own reward, and I also only work 3 days a week too, so that's kind of kick-ass. But I also like to work here on the Writer Brothers because it's fun.
And this is the better job, really.
Oh yeah, no, we just need to get more. Well, all we really need is 10,000 followers, and then they all just need to donate $1 a month, and that's it. And then, anyway.
Well, then we would get to live the glorious life of a revolutionary, right?
Something like that. Something like that. All right. So, any final words on Silo? I mean, we can't rave about it enough, but I mean, it gets pretty. I mean, we're coming down to the last couple episodes, and yes, I would say now is probably about the time you want to start watching to catch up because you're probably going to want to take breaks in between some episodes. There's a lot for this show to really
yeah, like I would say this is starting to rank up in my like, you know, up in Expanse kind of territory for me. Like it's that good.
Like, yeah, I was saying, like, this is as good as the season 1 of Westworld. Like,
yeah,
if
like,
they land the ending, this is like,
yeah, if they can pull off the landing on this is going to be up there for me with things like Expanse, with Babylon 5, probably with the remake of Battlestar Galactica. Like, it'll make it into the classic series I'm going to rewatch again and again and again.
Yeah, this is definitely the dystopian Fallout show.
Yeah, like, this is the Fallout we needed.
Yeah, like, well, I mean, even just in terms of like every other one I've seen, like Walking Dead, I Am Legend, the 100 on NBC, like Lost, all of these dystopian, like there's only about 10,000 people or there's less than 10,000 people Fallout times. This is the new standard. Like this show came in and decided like from now on you have to be at least this good to make it, because it's just awesome.
Yeah, keep raving while I gotta set up the other segment here. Any predictions, guys, for the next episode?
Well, yeah, I feel like she saw something when she jumped, man. Like there was something below her that she knew she was falling on, and that's why she looked back, but she didn't look back until she was over the rail, which means she was aiming. And then she was like, I got this. It was a very parkour-esque jump. Like she knew where she was going. So I don't think she's dead. But
no, I don't really either. That was
well, no, because like I could see that. Like the way this show is going.
The way this show started, it was very much, oh, you think this is the main character? Not dead. Oh, you think this is the main character? Hey, guess what? Dead. It was very like what Game of Thrones used to be before it sucked.
Yeah.
So. Well, I
mean,
like Game of Thrones fell to the same thing Scogly's nervous about. It's the final season. Like, we've got to wrap it up. How do we wrap it up? And that's like every show's big fear. And I feel like only the ones that were written at the beginning, the end was written at the beginning. Can you do that? Like Lord of the Rings, like the finale was a finale. Whereas like most shows are like, are we going to do another season? Are we going to leave this open-ended so they buy more? And so it's really hard to do a finale.
Well, I see. For Silo, I think there are ways to end it and still do a second season. Like, for example, if they end it with the the gate to the outside world being opened up for everyone, right? And it turns out that it's, the planet is recovered kind of thing. And they open up the silo and they're now able to travel outside. You could end the series there and everyone would have a satisfactory ending. Or you could start on them opening up their colony, if you will, to the outside world, right?
I
That
think
could
they've
be
been
a
in the
perfect way to
silo
do
for
it.
a lot longer than anybody thinks.
I agree too.
Yeah.
140 years was the last rebellion. I think they've been in there for
140
1,000
years was the last history.
I'm going to say they've
was
been
the
in there
last
for
book burning.
1,000 years.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about 500.
140 years was the last book burning.
Yeah.
So
I'm thinking it's less. I'm thinking
Yeah.
it's like 25 actual years, maybe 40 for generational shifts. But
Yeah.
they keep saying 140 because like the founders. How do people how did IT know the founders' intent, and how is he assigned something unless he knew them?
yeah. All right.
If he
Well,
knew them.
yeah. All right. We'll talk about the founders more in DS9. For now, though, speaking of Star Trek, Strange New Worlds Season 2 is live and is airing, and it started with
It's a show that you can watch.
yeah. So yeah, we'll just quickly go
Right,
around the room with our non-spoiler overview, and we'll get into it. I will say that for non-spoilers, that they managed to do in 52 minutes what Terry Matalas decided to take 10 episodes to tell. Pretty tightly thought of conspiracy story. Execution, bit more on the cheesy side of TOS, but overall, I didn't hate it. And I still like this show a lot more than I like Discovery. So we got that going for us, which is nice. But we'll go ahead and quickly go around the room. Skogly, what are your initial non-spoiler thoughts of Season 1, Episode 1 of Season 2?
Episode 1. It was fun. I like the new Spock. A lot of the things that people have a huge problem with, it just don't bother me at all. There was only one moment in the episode where I went, what? But it wasn't that bad.
All right. John, what do you think? Your quick non-spoiler overview for the... Yeah.
It's a show you can watch.
Jeez,
I
okay.
was disappointed.
Wow.
Uh,
And Corione.
Yeah, okay, so first I feel like, wow, they managed to do the main plot of Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country in 52 minutes. But I will say this, look, if you're going to try to do an episode of Strange New Worlds without the carrying capacity of Anson Mount, this wasn't a bad attempt. Okay? That being said, this episode suffered severely without the captain on the ship. He carries that whole damn series on his back like a trooper. Like, and not just like a trooper.
Atlas for sure.
Yeah, not just a trooper, but like a trooper carrying an officer up the side of a mountain kind of carry. Like, this dude's got it. And you know what? Without him, it can work, but they had to work twice as hard to get half the result.
So I'm like, I want to see more Anson Mount. What other shows do I have to? I was like, Hell on Wheels. Do I need to watch Hell on Wheels to see more of this?
Yeah. All right. Well,
he's
with
great.
that, we'll move into the spoiler territory. Basically, it's an interesting nod to Star Trek 3. A little fascinating how we have Spock and Uhura stealing the Enterprise, and of course they wouldn't later on in Star Trek 3 because Uhura has to stay behind and keep the transporter, or has to beam them over to the ship and keep Starfleet Command distracted, while Spock, of course, was reanimated into his new body and then gets his consciousness. I'm sorry, people still have a problem with the android Picard, but voodoo magic Vulcan shit, that's fine, whatever. Just saying, standards fluctuate, guys. It's almost as if art is mostly subjective. So yeah, I thought it was kind of cool. The visuals still look a little bit more cartoonish than I'd prefer personally. I thought the new opening theme with a couple of the new scenes was there. But as far as who carried this episode, I think I gotta give it to La'an. Christina Chong really showed up to perform in this episode. She really sold me on the passage of time as to what she was trying to do and explaining everything. And then it was like they basically rolled out a quick 52-minute conspiracy story, and it's all, you know, kind of might link to the main story, which of course, as we know, like people are trying to start a war because they don't want peace. And it's kind of interesting that, yes, it's in reference to The Undiscovered Country, which I hold as one of the greatest Star Trek films ever made. But it also would make sense, because it's going to take a lot of time to get to peace, and it's not surprising that there's other factions that don't want it either, for various reasons. Like, I totally buy it's a military-industrial complex plot to start another war because, oh, we want money, and I found it all to be believable. The super serum, that was a little silly. I think it was still a really cool way to try to preserve the ethical integrity of our physician characters. Doctors and nurses, they take what's called the Hippocratic Oath. That is to do no harm. Now, okay, they were doing harm with the super serum and causing pain, but it's, you know, we gotta trickle back them ethics and the morality here. If you're gonna die in the process, is it better to cause harm to prevent your own death? Yes, I agree. I mean, I'm one of those guys that says you decide your level of self-defense regardless. If someone spits at you and you want to shoot them, hey, it's your body, it's your life. You feel threatened, that's your business. But that said, I thought that was really cool. But I can understand if it was a little bit too much for some people, a little bit too cheesy. And that's the thing that really got me to realize that this show is actually great, because if new fans like it, and they like it because of the cheese factor, I have really good news. You're gonna love TOS. Just remember, it's a product of its time. It's got a little bit, you know, the cheese is a bit corny because of the sets sometimes and just some of the way that stuff was executed. But if you like Strange New Worlds, you will absolutely love the original series. That's what I realized. Like, the link is definitely there, and it's a lot easier, I think, to get fans that like Strange New Worlds to go straight to the heart. And that's always my biggest problem with Star Trek, is like, where do you start? Where do you get somebody to try Star Trek? Do you start with the motion picture films? Well, if you're gonna do that, skip to 2, because you gotta be a fan to really appreciate 1, in my opinion. At the same time, you gotta know people's taste. If someone says 2001: A Space Odyssey is the greatest sci-fi movie ever made, motion picture coming right up. And that's just it. It's like, well, if somebody ends up liking Strange New Worlds, cool. Welcome to the original series. Welcome to the motion picture movies. This is where it all began. I think you're going to like these two and these stories. And that's where I think the trade-off, unfortunately, we've got to find that middle ground. We've got great visuals. We have amazing set pieces again. The actors are doing a great job with the material that they're given. I didn't feel like there was a whole lot of cringe. I know people feel a lot of cringe with Spock. I get that. But you know what? I thought about it. Looking at my life where it is now, if you guys saw a movie about my past, you'd probably say, oh, that's out of character. Yeah.
I think if you saw a story about my life, you'd think it was the most depressing episode of Scrubs ever.
Oh, yeah, same. But you would be like, this is not the Petey York that I know. And it's like, no, these are the formative years that molded me. But at the end of the day, yes, canon matters, but it also doesn't require your energy to, be sustained. Sorry, John, for the spoilers, but I gotta say my point. I've watched Trials and Tribulations on DS9 many times, and I've gone back and watched Trouble with Tribbles. The DS9 crew doesn't show up there. There's no retcon copy that exists with them in the background.
No, but I mean, if you take a look at some of the characters that show up, you can kind of see where Trials and Tribulations was trying to put them in. Like, the guy that Kirk tells off does look an awful lot like O'Brien. The guy who goes to shake Kirk's hand at the end of the episode does look a little bit like Cisco. There are attempts. It's not great, but there are attempts. And that's what I appreciate. Look, to me, canon matters, but it is not the be-all and end-all make or break of an episode. What matters most is the story enthralling? Does it feel like the series? And does it add to the prestige of the brand? Because if it's not doing one of those three, I don't know if it really matters that much.
Well, and that's where I feel like the whole episode just kind of flopped. Like, I didn't have a problem with the cheese. I had a problem with the absolutely rushed nature of this whole thing. Like, rewatching season 3, episode 1, season 2, episode 1, season 1, episode 1 of Deep Space Nine, no matter how red alert it got, it always felt like the crew was at their peak at the beginning, the least tired they'd been. They always came back from a nice summer off, whatever space summer is, but there was always that new season, new me every single episode 1 and episode 2, usually, if it was that like double episode release. And then this one, like, it was definitely new season, new me at 100 miles an hour. Like, to me, I get it. I get the instinct to just try to like push people to the excitement because that's what you feel like is what's enthralling about the show. But rewatching it all, no. Like, the thing that Star Trek does best is it takes the boring and the mundane parts of science, the boring and mundane parts of space exploration, and just adds a little bit of spice. Not a whole, everything needs to be solved and we need to figure out the problem in the equation. No, just a small spice.
Yeah, and that's why I liked episode 1 of season 1 of this show, and I still do, even though it's got its flaws. The core idea and principle of what Roddenberry's vision was about was what that episode centered on, and I was like, this is exactly what it's supposed to be focused on. The rest of the season had a few bangers, had a few... anyway, we don't need to get into that again. This season, I've heard, is supposedly going to get rocky, but apparently there's suggestion that it's confirmed that SNW is a different timeline. And I mean, like I said, regardless of how you look at it, multiverse has been a thing. It's basically been the law of storytelling since storytelling began. You know, there are still versions of the original Star Wars movies out there that don't have the special effects and they don't have any of the other stuff. And it's like, obviously the canon still exists. Now I get that, you know, the people managing Memory Alpha try to make it all fit and whatever, and it's like, if that's really that important to you, I get it. But like I said, the thing I learned talking with other fans was like, wait, it's not the show itself being like super great or super bad. It's what it inspires within us at the end of the day. It's what inspires us to buy the merchandise. It's what inspires me to keep playing Star Trek Online. It's what inspired, you know, us to create our own stories. What inspired me to write my book, Galaxia. That's what made it good. Now, is there a difference in quality in a lot of ways? Actually, yes. New Trek still is lacking in quality. I had someone I was talking to on Twitter when I spelled it all out as to what I got, why I still like Picard Season 3. I realized, you know, in the grand scheme, New Trek didn't do it for me. I got off Discovery after Season 2. I don't care about that show anymore. I'm not going to watch the last season. I don't care. I'm not going to watch Starfleet Academy. I don't care. I didn't watch Picard Season 2 because the first one was so bad. That's probably why I was okay to enjoy Season 3. I might give Lower Deck Season 1 another try just so I can see what it was, but even then that show made improvements, and I'm looking forward to the 4th season. I thought Season 3 of that show was really good. And really that's what it comes down to when we come to Strange New Worlds is Strange New Worlds, for as cringy as it got the first season, I realized this show still isn't more or less cringy than the Orville Season 1 and 2. Like, Season 1, especially of the Orville guys, was Family Guy in space. It had...
The first few episodes
fighting
are
cringe
wow.
versus, like, what I'm frustrated with is the writing. Like, the difference between Orville...
Yeah, and I'm not disagreeing with your disappointment,
is that, like, Orville was trying to prove that, you know, that Seth MacFarlane knew what he was doing. That he could do it. And the only way he could sell it to Fox was Family Guy in
As a
space.
comedy show,
And he did it. Not only did he do it, but like, look at the fans. Like, Orville Nation started an entire channel because Orville was so good and so on point that PJ was like, I have to do this. And that's amazing. That's the testament of what Star Trek used to be. No, like, I don't see the new Strange New Worlds like fan club. I hear that there are people that like it, but mostly from you guys. Like, I've actually only heard about Twitter fights from people on this panel because none of the people I listen to for my personal entertainment podcast care because it's not that good in comparison to everything else that's coming out, despite having literally the greatest repository of tried and true stories. Like, they have all of the fails of all of the seasons of all of the shows. They have all the successes. You literally just need to land in the middle, yet, 4 out of 5 have just jumped off the scoreboard towards descent into nothing. And then Picard scraped itself up to like a 3 out of 7. And Strange New Worlds is like, 4 out of 7. Like, congrats, you're the best of the worst. But
yeah, it's like, way to go, you're watchable, right? Like, I mean,
yeah, exactly. Like, to me, it's just the most depressing situation.
Well,
even worse than Star Wars.
I'm gonna take a step back real quick.
They have like 12 seasons since they started again in 2009 with the J.J. Abrams track.
Yeah, hold on. I want to take a step back, and I want to make sure of something. I want to make sure of something real quick. It was based off of everything you just said. Like, the goal of this show is still to try and help improve, right? Like we want to give honest critiques so that they keep okay.
Yeah, these are my honest critiques.
All right.
Go do your research. There is no excuse.
Shit.
You cannot tell me that you are not paid enough to research.
Hold on. Hold on. We got to get a little meta and examine our own.
Right.
We got to examine the TWB timeline real quick. First of all, because I love the attitude change. And here's why. I'd have to go back into the archive and find it. But when we started Strange New Worlds, you thought it was really good. And it was because of Strange New Worlds we started DS9. But we got too far along in DS9 to the point where now you've seen what actual good Star Trek is. You're now feeling the disappointment for the first time ever.
So I liked the season 1 of Strange New Worlds because I get it. It's season 1. I get if you look at all the rules for dropping your first season, no matter how good you are, season 1 is hard.
Star Trek gets the 3-season pass.
Right. Not anymore.
No.
Because all the other ones got it, and they succeeded the whole time. Like, even season 1 of Deep Space Nine is very clearly a balancing act of, like, I think we know what we're doing. Let's make sure we do more Roddenberry. All right, let's go back to Roddenberry. Back to Roddenberry. But then by season 3, they're like, no, we know what we're doing. But they tried and tried and tried and tried again. Whereas Strange New Worlds tried, and then in this opening, like, it's nothing. Like, they learned nothing. The other one opened really soft, and you were like, this is a solid, like, homage to the original. And then this new season 1 episode, you're like, there's some reasons to like it.
Oh yeah, no, it was not as strong
There's
as
no,
the
like-
season opener for season 1.
Like,
But
I'm not
that's also
asking
because
you
that
to-
episode's still the best episode of the show.
Right, but that's what I'm saying is it shouldn't be. It should be the one that got them launched off for season 1. And yeah, season 1's rocky start, but season 2, episode 1, that's like, hey, now we have the money to do the episode 1. We
Season
wanted
1's
to
more
do
like an
in
avalanche
episode
start.
1. You know, like mostly just because of it's 10 episodes. It's not 26. You didn't have Burnout yet.
That's
It's
the other
10
problem.
episodes on a streaming platform. You have $100 million every month just because 10 people give $10 a month, right? So like
Wait, what?
10 million people give $10 million a month or $10 a month. 10 million people give $10 a month. You have 100 million a month.
Okay,
just
10
from
okay,
streaming.
10 like 10 people giving $10 a month is
Forgot-
$100
I
million
forgot what
dollars.
it was.
What the hell are we doing wrong? We got more than
My
that
bad.
right now. We should be charging you bastards.
But like even our content is more original than anything that they have dropped. Like we're reviewing other people's content and we still have original jokes, original banter, original feedback. Even rewatching DS9, if you go and watch other commentators on it, our critiques are different.
Yeah.
And yet they're going to give me the excuse that they're trying and it's just really hard. How about try it while you're poor like me and then tell me how hard it is and I'll forgive you immediately. But like just because you're having a hard time figuring out where the center is doesn't mean you should be given any kind of like credence at this point. It's 12 seasons, you're late. Like and same for Kurtzman. It's 12 seasons. Find one good writer already. One cohesive director already.
All they have, her name's Michelle Paradise.
Like, come on.
Jeez.
Avery Brooks directed like 4 of the last episodes we've watched.
Yep.
And he crushed it. He was the main character and a director and crushed it. John Krasinski crushed it. Like,
Fun fact, guys.
no excuse. You have
Avery
too much
Brooks-
money to be excused.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fun fact, guys. Avery Brooks's classes on acting are available online. And while he
And
was
you have the money and
Well-
freaking call your buddy.
well, hear me out on this
Have
one.
him show up at your house to do the master class. Go.
And some of his lectures on acting, because he was on set at the time, he gives in uniform on the bridge of the Defiant. So you want
Nice.
to learn acting from the Cisco? You can.
Amazing.
That's awesome.
You could have him come to set. You have the money. You are so lazy, so naive, and just so
Arrogant.
arrogant. Oh my God, the arrogance. Like, it's not even justifiable. Like,
You're-
it's the most churlish thing I've
You're
ever
right.
seen.
You know,
Because, like,
it's kind of like
you
watching
have
your son
so
become
much
a
money
man
to
over
do
here.
10 episode seasons. Avery Brooks had to do 26 episode seasons. And he still sprinkled some of his work in there while also being an actor. And he still did his job for 26 episodes. And it was continuous, contiguous, and comfortable. And you can't do it for 10?
Man, where the hell is Doomcock right now? I feel like he needs to be seeing this. Like,
All I can say is this, like, you know, our little boy has become a man. Like we're
all it took was
I
3
wanna put him on
seasons.
I've just been worse at saying it.
I want to
seasons
put him
of-
on a chair and dance around at this point.
3
man.
seasons of Deep Space Nine, and he's now churned on Kurtzman's Star Trek. Just in wow. 3 seasons of DS9 to radicalize you to good Star Trek. That's it, guys. And look, this goes back to why I was saying, rant and rave more about the Trek you love, because you can get more fans of Strange New Worlds to the well. Okay? If they see that you're more excited for the Star Trek you love, and not that you're demanding to burn the ice cream shop down, they're gonna listen to you. And they're gonna want to watch it. Okay? My little brother watched Strange New Worlds Season 1, and that was enough to get him to do DS9.
Yep.
Well, and I also watch Discovery and I watch TNG, and I do have a history with Trek, and I do recognize it for what it is. Turns out it's not what it is. It's what it
Turns
was.
out you were reading the garbage. You just hadn't
Well,
gotten
no,
the
it
good
just
shit.
turns out like a lot of people are like, no, like the Marines are what the Marines are. Star Trek is what Star Trek is. No, Star Trek was what Star Trek was. What Star Trek is Kurtzman.
Star Trek is, well,
No,
it's not.
I'm tired of the placating, like the writers. You're on strike because you haven't been respected, and your work sucks because you haven't been respected. Fair. Kurtzman, you're an idiot. Pay your writers more. Stop pretending like you deserve your check when you can't even put one cohesive series out. One cohesive season out. Like, Strange New Worlds was fun for episodes 1 through 3, and then by 4, we were all like, thanks, but no. Like, you don't get to just keep saying that you're good at your job and you deserve your job and you deserve all these, like why are the fans turning on you? Because you haven't made any new ones. You haven't convinced anybody to join you. All because of what? Because you're not making money. Star Trek is a legacy that it was because people committed to how great it was, and they continue to this day to praise it. But Kurtzman, you literally took that
And can't
ate
make
it,
money?
and
What?
then shat out the worst diarrhea anybody's ever seen, and then you go, guys, it's not my fault. It's the hate. It's the YouTubes. YouTube's just killing me. Grow up.
Somewhere in the center of the earth, Doomcock is sitting there with the big Emperor's robe on, going, "Good,
Doomcock is
good. Let the
Damn it.
anger flow through you."
Oh, Corion, you need to tweet this rant to him. Like, you'll have to go back and
We
index it.
gotta cut this into a short.
It's
Because,
Yeah.
well,
absolutely.
it's not short enough to be a short, unfortunately. But it's
okay. Well,
it's,
then cut it for me, and I will send it over
look,
to.
I'll just mark the time index for you, and then
Yeah.
you just say where it starts, because that was quite the rant, John,
That was awesome.
I didn't think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so proud.
First of
I'm
all,
just-
I love everything I just heard for many reasons. One, my method works. Who would have thought? And two, because yeah, I didn't totally shit on New Trek all the time. I said that there were good things to find because I wanted to vindicate your watching of that show so that I could show you the Star Trek that I freaking love. And that's, top tier Trek for me is DS9, Star Trek's 1 through 6, and Enterprise. That's what I would say. And then the 2009 and beyond Trek. Those are the top tier Star Trek. I'm sorry, but TNG is just too episodic at times. It's got a lot of good moments, but it's also got a lot of I really don't care to watch that ever again moments. Voyager sucks. And
Okay, here's what I'm gonna say about in defense of TNG. You do not get Deep Space Nine
fair enough.
without setting the groundwork in TNG, right?
And here's my defense for TNG. Phenomenal in terms of exposition for the entire
Oh, hold on. I didn't finish.
universe that it is.
TOS to me is Holy Trek. Always set apart from the rest. Always its own thing. Like, yes, the events of all the Star Treks that I list as top tier Trek, those all happen because of the Holy original series.
Right. And look, I can't believe I'm actually going to be the guy that says this. But as much as, we all rag on Voyager for existing, there are some moments in Voyager that aren't terrible.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
there are some episodes that actually have really good writing behind it, and they picked the right characters to put in the right spot to make them work. Okay, there's a couple of episodes where like the Doctor is fighting for his rights as an author that are fantastic, right? There's the episode where the Hirogen get a hold of holographic technology and it gets out of their hands.
Oh, when they
Which-
become sentient. Yes, I like that one. The one where they
Right.
do the simulations and hijack Voyager, I thought those were lame.
That was not so great, but
I think
the one later.
we
was
could
really
realistically put together a list of Voyager episodes that would be worth rewatching. It's just my problem is that was not the show. The episodic formula makes the most sense with the Next Generation, because the Next Generation is we go to port like at the end of our episodes, right? We get refurbished. That's why the ship looks the same. That's why they can use the same recycled shots over and over and over. However, when we
That's
get
not
to
the case with Voyager, or
get-
at least it shouldn't be.
no, it shouldn't. Voyager needed to stick to the DS9 model. It needed to have a serialized. They also needed to change the model throughout time and history. Okay, it should have looked more like the Enterprise does in Star Trek 3 than just getting the magic reset button every week. Like, there's videos out there that count the torpedoes that show that, yeah, they ran out of torpedoes and they should
They
have.
ran out of crew.
They ran out of crew.
Oh, dude,
They ran out of-
You gotta get the overview of the character that is Tom Paris. It's just mind-boggling what that guy's done and is capable of.
Right. Kerry Kim never gets promoted. He's actually, like, I hated how he was treated in Star Trek Online, to be perfectly honest. They finally made him a captain, but he's calling me sir, and I'm like, no. Don't ever say that again. Do not ask me permission for, I don't care. Nope, I'm not an admiral. I am a captain. I'm a younger captain. You've been in service way longer than I have. You're the sir here. And we're in the Delta Quadrant. This is your house. And you're asking me for permission. Permission denied to ask permission.
And we've got, like,
It-
Admiral, like...
Yeah, right? Like, you know, you almost want to take him and be like Aragorn at the end of Lord of the Rings and just be like, no, you bow to
That's
no man,
exactly
right?
how I felt. And every time he called me sir or asked his, like, permission to speak freely, don't ask again. Just do it.
Stop that.
Stop. Also, I'm a very casual captain on my ship. I mean, freaking, you should see what some of the women decide to wear. It's crazy.
Parker's the epitome of I'm the captain of my own ship and that guy runs the loose ship.
We're basically pirates. We're basically Starfleet legal pirates at this point.
God, that's like my Klingon
Right.
ship, the IKS Pimp Mobile.
Yeah. Everybody gets a vote. I don't actually make decisions. I let the crew do it. Would you like the captain to A, go to warp, B, fire torpedoes, or C, make up his own mind? You have chosen C. Proceed to the nearest airlock.
Oh man. All right.
There is no
Anyway,
captain. Get out.
But yeah, I think at some
so
point
this
we
is
do have
speaks to the quality of Strange New Worlds that we just decided to go on a shit posting rant about Star Trek Online.
Yeah.
Well, but that's the frustrating thing is because, like, when you go back and you watch the original trilogy of Star Wars, you're like, wow, this is pretty rough. But then when you go back and you watch Phantom Menace, you're like, wow, this is actually really awesome. Like, the
Yeah.
original trilogy really did set up all of everything for the prequel trilogy, right? But then when you go and watch the sequel trilogy, you're like, man, all right, I'm done.
The what?
Like you've just had enough. It doesn't matter what episode you start in the original trilogy or the prequel trilogy. You're like, I kind of want to keep going. I kind of want to keep watching, and I'm gonna, maybe re-binge the whole series on accident again. As somebody who literally just finished Clone Wars, the animated series, for the first time, because I did that, because I started watching Phantom Menace again. Like, some shows make me want to watch the rest of the universe again.
Yep.
And I haven't seen one of those shows in the last few years.
Yeah.
Oh
Right.
man,
Wow.
no, look. I guess this is my so. Now that everyone's kind of gone through and we've got this epic rant, I was gonna go, well, this episode wasn't too terrible compared
like,
to
it's
some of the
alright.
stuff we've gotten, right?
It's like popcorn Star Trek. I was just watching it. I was like, hey.
Yeah, like
You got
know,
nice
this is-
production values.
Yeah, I mean-
it was pretty fucking okay.
I did kind of like the winners take drugs message of the episode a little bit, right? I thought that was
Bang
kind
on
of
that
amusing,
one.
right? I mean, I kind of thought it was neat. Although my issue with, the Doctor having combat drugs.
Do you
Is
always
it-
have these? Always.
Yeah. I kind of sit there going like,
He's a meth head PCP addict or some kind. Jesus.
well, I mean, I'm just saying that, like, Phlox is my favorite Doctor, but Mbinga is probably going to be my favorite pharmacist in Star Trek now, right? But that being all said, like,
Dude,
look,
Mbinga is the first pharmacist in Star Trek. There were doctors, and then there's the pharmacist.
right, and I mean, like, he's definitely the Doctor I'm inviting to a party at any rate. But
I don't know. Not a hologram party. His daughter will show up on accident.
Oh, she transcended with the cloud, didn't she?
Yeah. God, that was so stupid.
I mean, yeah. Come on, dude. That's another point. Like, one of the things Star Trek always strived to do is at least pretend like everything was supposed to happen. Like it was scientifically accurate.
I was chapped that
What
they just
happened to-
immediately gave us closure on that. I was like,
Oh yeah, no, I was mad about it on the episode that we did about it.
like, honestly, looking back at season 1, it would have been amazing to have somebody transfer aboard the ship that was like, Lieutenant Karen, and just went like after everyone who was pulling fast and loose rules on the ship, and eventually they had to get rid of her because of all the crap she caused.
Oh, I did like
you
the new
mean
chief engineer.
Shaw from season 3 of
oh
Picard.
yeah.
I'm still mad about Hemmer. That whole
Yeah.
treatment of him in the last season still pisses me off. But I gotta say, I do like Carol Kate as that's her name, right? Yeah. As,
Yeah, I think so.
Have fun.
She
Have
seems
fun
like
to get to the warp core.
She's fun. I like her. That's the frustrating thing about this, though, man. Is like the characters are good, the actors are on point.
the
I was like,
Klingons
what?
look fantastic.
Acting is a
Oh.
pile of crap.
dude, I'm so happy they went back to like
OG, the
TNG
TNG style Klingons.
TNG era Klingon makeup. That is so nice.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was great.
I mean, we still need to see some smooth foreheads, because of the augment thing, and that would be nice to see him on screen. But I think
Some
the whole
transitions,
focus on this was to get back to get away from the Klingorks
Yeah.
from Discovery, which we can now just write off as a separate faction because
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
just,
let's make I can't believe I get to do this, but like let's make Klingons heavy metal rockers from the dead again. You know what I mean?
they looked really good and badass, and I liked this episode, and it's going to be interesting to see where they take Spock and where it goes. Some advanced reviews, say we're probably in for a rough ride, but hey, you know what? If this season actually mirrors the last season, what I mean by that is, their retake on Balance of Terror was an attempt. Wasn't that great, but wasn't terrible. So this episode, I think we can all kind of collectively feel, wasn't that great, wasn't that terrible. So if that means we're going to get all the cringe stuff out first, and then by the end we start to see a bit more of a mature show that finally maturizes by season 3, like the Orville did, I think Strange New Worlds still has a shot. I think it's still got a chance to turn it around. I think that the disappointment train may turn around, and I think that could probably be what this show ends up needing, was to start pretty good, go explore some crap, and see how bad it can get, and then we're going to kind of start to shift and turn that around and maybe explore some other crap, but then let's just go back to what let's get to being Star Trek.
If they haven't finished the rest of the season, which I highly doubt, but if they haven't, here's my big tip. Spend the rest of the season exploring. This was your 0 to 100. Rest of the season, let's get to know the exploration of the world. Let's see some strange new worlds.
Enterprise did it.
Like, let's stop doing pirates. Let's stop doing the basic genre stuff. Stop trying to get new fans. You
Show
don't
me
have
something
any.
wonderful.
Old
I
fans
would
are
even
only
accept,
miracles
like,
we're hoping for
slightly-
the best.
Yeah, I would even accept slightly odd new worlds. You know what I mean? Like, I'll take that at this point. Just give me
Alright.
something to work with.
I
Bro,
want to see
you
some
could-
strange vegetation and some flowers.
Yeah, and they could literally never interact with another species again, and I would be like, finally, they figured out what Star Trek was all about. It was animal Earth, planet Earth, all of those docuseries, documentary shows where they try to explore science with cool people.
Yeah.
Like that's all Star Trek's ever been. And like even Deep Space Nine is still the documentary crew trying to figure out how Bajor is going to handle the transition to what it is while also finding the Gamma Quadrant. Like the Federation is the nerds that know what the right answer is, but they're here to watch everybody get there on their own. And they're going to help them along if they can, but that's the best that they can do. And that's nothing we've seen from the new stuff, man. Like, if this show turns back to that, if Strange New Worlds goes back to being a show about science exploded into the theoretical but on the real screen, I'll be like, finally, you actually got the message. You figured out why TNG actually worked. Because that to me is what TNG was, is it was the most fun infomercial about space.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of DS9, we have now moved towards our DS9 segment. We will quickly do a synopsis, and then I think Corione will get your quick adage on this particular episode, and then we'll go from there. Storyline. It's very busy on the station, and Kira hasn't even got time to read reports. Now, Starfleet also requests a complete report on the computer calibration subroutine. When Bashir asks for a runabout that isn't available to get medical supplies, she snaps. Bashir notices she's overworked and orders her to rest. Not liking it at all, her mood becomes better when she meets Commander Will Riker, go figure, from the Starship Enterprise in Guam. He has 3 months of leave and is on his way to the pleasure planet Risa. She seems to really like him, and only the thought of Burial is holding her back. At the end of the next day, she runs into him again and offers him a tour of the facility. Riker asks immediately if she can take a look at the Defiant. Corione, go.
Okay, this is.
Oh wait, sorry.
really-
Shout out to Arnu Teal. Fantastic synopsis, very well detailed without spoilers.
Yeah. So to me, this was one of the better, hunting a sub kind of episodes. Like, you could almost imagine this being played out as somebody stole an American nuclear sub and was headed towards Russia, and we got to get this sub back or down it before it starts World War III. That is kind of the feel of the episode. I loved it for that. I thought bringing in Jonathan Frakes' characters was a fantastic idea. To try to also wrap up a little bit of the, I'm going to call it maximum clonage episode of Next Gen. I love that we got some really important character development from Dukat, right? Because we're starting to see Dukat as the dark mirror of Sisko, right? We're starting to see that, no, he has a family and he loves his family too. But he twists that love into something a lot darker and a lot scarier, right? We also
Session.
Yeah, we'll get another interesting piece. What the hell is going on inside the Cardassian Union? And what exactly is the Obsidian Order up to? Because they're up to something, and it isn't good.
Yep.
Now, with that, gentlemen, I have been called away to deal with a situation, so I will love you all and leave you. Take care, guys.
Peace and long
Love
life.
you too.
Yep. See you Thursday. All right, John, first time viewer, episode Defiant. Did you have to go back and rewatch TNG, or did you remember or did you?
Oh,
feel
dude,
it?
I just didn't like this episode. As soon as I realized what it was, I read the little synopsis. I was like, oh, that's dumb.
What?
But
Why is
I
it
didn't
dumb?
remember. I remembered it partially. Mostly, I don't like twins. I think it's such an idiot thing because I've never met identical twins I couldn't tell apart.
That's not what
They
it
are.
is.
They are this. They're literally this.
Oh, I know,
It's a
Yeah, that
transporter
was
duplicate carbon copy split. Yeah,
which is an even worse version of twins. Because, to me, there's a difference between twins and a duplicate. A duplicate honestly, like, that's the best thing that could ever happen to you in terms of, like, now you guys always have somebody that knows exactly what you mean when you say train versus fight and practice versus play. And
Well, not exactly. So, okay, so to remember, they paraphrase it in the episode, and they do a pretty decent job of summarizing that next generation event. But what needs to be understood is when Riker split off, when it created the duplicate that was, first of all, they didn't even know he existed. Second of all, he lived for 9 years in isolation, thinking that he was gonna die. And so for 9 years, his personality developed on a totally different mind track, and that's why he was attracted to the Maquis struggle, because he knows what it's like to struggle like that, and when nobody's coming to save you because you think the Federation has abandoned you, that's why he empathized. So that's why the character was a perfect choice for this episode.
I see that, but I don't know. I just don't like that. Like, that to me is the MacGuffin of stealing stuff. And that, I don't like that. Like, I love elaborate heists. I don't care if you're the bad guy completing the elaborate heist or you're the good guy completing the elaborate heist. Elaborate heists are fun. And when you just twin your way onto the ship, I don't know. I feel like, yeah, actually, I do know.
Well, that's just it. He was a carbon copy. He wasn't a twin. Starfleet security can't
no, I just mean I feel like there should have been a heist. And that's where I feel cheated, is it was too easy in the lead up to the heist. Like, even if was this a crossover episode or
no?
Because if it was a crossover, like, you know, when CW or NBC does that, where like 2 episodes cross each other.
Oh yeah,
and
Trek was the first to do it.
Each other's shows. Had that have happened, okay. But again, like, I don't know. I just felt like the heist was missing.
No, there was no heist to be had because he was a quantum duplicate, so to speak. He was a perfect copy. There was no way for Starfleet security systems to be able to know the difference. That's why he was able to penetrate.
I think that they would have something in place.
I'm saying, as a fan of heists and an audience member, that's why I feel cheated.
It would have been more
now
interesting.
I can name it. I don't feel like
it's basically Ocean's 11 with the cheat codes turned on.
Exactly.
Like,
and
or
it's
a Grand
okay,
Theft Auto where you just walk into the bank and walk out and you don't die because you've God mode on. Okay, I see what you're saying, and that's basically, but that's the point of the episode, was that because he was Thomas Riker.
Only that part. Only that part. Because as we got into where Corion said it, I completely disagree with what he said about Corion using family for the darker side. Because
or you mean Ducat?
Ducat using family for the darker side?
Yeah.
You said Corion.
No, Corion talking about Cisco being dark.
No.
He's Ducat's the mirror.
Ducat's the mirror of Cisco in that they have similar values, but Ducat values them in an obsessive way, whereas Cisco's actually a genuinely loving way. That's the difference.
I don't know. I felt like this was the first time I actually liked one of the aliens as a human. Because the way he talked about his son, he was like, I thought finally I would get to spend his birthday with him. And here I am.
Dude, Ducat's probably
and
one
all
of
my
the
son's
most
gonna
complex
see.
villains in TV history.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it was so real, though. Because, like, he was like, I know why.
Every once in a while, you're like, I get him. And it's like,
yeah. And
right?
That's what I mean, is like for Ducat, like for everything other than the twin thing, this episode was gorgeous. Like, picture perfect, chef's kiss, how you write a, like, again, Strange New Worlds. Here's another perfect gem that you could just pluck, rewrite, and your pretty graphics already beat this thing out of the water. Like, literally, if you just wrote TNG, new characters, new battle station, modern graphics, it wins every day of the week. I don't even care if it's a rewrite. I don't even care if it's the exact same thing, carbon copy minus the CGI. You win because this show is awesome and timeless. Like, that fight, all my son sees is that his dad was forced to go to work because that dirty Federation human showed up. And he's like, no, I had to go to work because they're trying to attack the homeworld and my son might die. And that's why I'm at work. And I know that. But all my son knows is that daddy missed my birthday.
Yeah.
Dude, that's the most devastating thing I could ever imagine to feel as a dad, let alone as a human, let alone watching a sci-fi TV show. What?
Oh, now you know how I felt missing your graduation.
Yeah. I hurt immediately listening to Dukat. So when you say he's the dark side, what? He's not the dark side.
Well, then forget we said that.
He's the opposite. Like he is literally the opponent on the opposite end of the table, still trying to win for all the exact same reasons. The only difference.
You know what it is? You know what it is, John? I figured it out. And I think only you and I would be able to figure this out. Because you're right. Corione's perspective, maybe what he was communicating was a little bit off. And maybe that's how it comes across. Because I just realized Dukat and Sisko are the duality of military service. Sisko is the, dutiful, I'm proud of what I do. I hope my son recognizes that I'm a good man and that I did it.
Sisko is Skate King of the Year. Dukat's the dutiful. Like Sisko, like even when he talked to Picard in the episode 1, he was like, dude, I'm done. I don't care. I'm finishing my term out and then I'm done. But he's also like a human who he's like, yes, I'm done, but they might not be. So I'm not going to degrade their experience. I'm not going to be the reason they want to get out. He's like, I want to get out because Picard is getting praise for killing my wife. Like, he's jaded, but he's not a bad guy about it. So he's skating. He's going to do everything he can to not work, but still never make anybody work harder because of him.
Yeah.
And then Dukat's like, no, home and country every day. My son doesn't get it. I know why I'm here. I do feel bad about my son talking to another father, but I'm going to yell at my son when I get home because he needs to know that I did this for God and country.
Yeah. And that's the thing is I've been in Dukat's shoes, and that was part of the motivation as to why I wanted to get out, was because it was like, we sacrifice a lot for our country. We do this and we sacrifice family moments and we got to do it. And it's the thing. It's like, well, no, I don't actually. Why do I have to? Why am I doing this? Because
Sisko said the same thing.
I wasn't getting back what I was promised, and I was tired of trying to fight for mediocre wages and a mediocre health plan only to be, get my fucking 10% discount at Denny's. Like, it's just not.
Well, and that's where I say that Sisko is more like you and I because we actually did get out. Whereas Dukat only showed that emotion to a human who he doesn't care if he says it because all he has to say is he's a human liar. Right? Like, he only confessed those feelings to a man that cannot be held in Cardassian care. Like, they're not going to care whatever Sisko says. Like, oh yeah, he told me about how bad he felt about his son. They're going to be like, wow, he showed humility.
Well, and it was a defense mechanism against Sisko's empathy because he didn't want to bond with him. He doesn't want to be Sisko, so he doesn't see Sisko as a friend. He sees Sisko still as an adversary, but he's not.
And so he's the hard guy. He's the guy that's like, yeah, I have problems, but they're only real when it's a secret. Whereas you and I are more like Sisko, where it's like, nah, we're getting out when our time's up and we're done. And Sisko, obviously his time just begun because that was episode 1. But that was his thought process. He was like, when I'm done, I'm done. I'm not about Starfleet is not this magical order to me anymore. He lost Santa Claus. Santa Claus was not real to him.
Well,
and that is where, like, I think Sisko versus Dukat is different. To Dukat, Santa Claus is still real. Being the perfect honorable warrior is still an actually good idea. Whereas Sisko's like, Picard was the hero, and then he killed my wife. There are no heroes.
Yeah, it's Cisco. DS9 is the proper deconstruction of Roddenberry's original series idea because it still respects the property while also it's like TOS and TNG show us what the Utopia idea is, but DS9 shows us the way.
Still consequences.
Right. It shows the path. It shows that no, it is still a struggle. There is still ways. It's not going to be just we finally figure out Utopia and everything is magically fixed. It's like no, the struggle to get there is still going to be a struggle, but it's not impossible.
Which only pumps up TNG and TOS. It only like DS9 is here to be like, nah, Roddenberry thought he knew what he was doing, but here's the reality of it. And then you go back and you watch what Roddenberry was trying to say, and you're like, no, I want more Picard, but I understand Cisco. I understand why Cisco is Cisco, but I still think Picard's the captain I should follow. Picard's the hero that you should still try to be, even after being aboard, even after all of these issues. Picard's a hero that's worth following. But Cisco's the guy that goes, I've watched him and I'm jaded. But then Cisco's the jaded hero. He's the hero that's still like, I'm going to be good because that's what you're supposed to do. Even though I know it doesn't matter. At any point I could become evil. At any point I could become Picard and just be a Borg and kill people without care. And now that like he's like the nihilistic hero, you know? The one who doesn't see a reason to care, but also cares because he knows that not everybody else is as jaded as he is.
Yeah.
And that's a hero.
Yeah.
There you go.
That that's the depressed friend that continues to smile at all the parties. You know, that's the person that continues to bring joy even when they feel like joy doesn't exist in their life. And Cisco represents the long-term ideal of that, which is like, yeah, the world sucks, the universe sucks, but that doesn't mean you have to.
Nope.
And Cisco's such a beautiful leading representation because he is the leader, he is the commander. He had all of those opinions and then got promoted to be in charge of people. He could have been the bulliest boss. Parker and I both remember those commanders that were jaded and then they got promoted and then they were jaded and mean. And it was easier for them to do that because they were jaded that you cared, you know? And
some people I served under exploited the fact that I cared, and once I caught wind of that, they quickly soured and started to work. Started to abandon me and work against me, and but also it was at the same time I was dealing with a lot of life changes, and so it's just it was a nice shit sandwich from 2013 to 2015, and still a shit sandwich, but just slightly less shitty.
Cisco's the guy that you actually want that guy to be. Cisco's the guy that is salty about all of it. So he accepts you, whatever salt you're going to have. He's going to be like, trust me, it's worse than you think it is. But then he's also like...
show up to work on time.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, just shower, show up to work, do your job. If it's 40% today, that's 100% of your effort today. Awesome. I don't care. And then when people are having issues, he's like, guys, Starfleet regulation isn't going to save you. Here's what's going to save you. And he gives moral, personal wisdom that he's obtained over time. It's never like, Starfleet regulation said be good and be kind, and that's why I'm kind and good and everybody's safe. No. He's like, yeah, it is hard, but we have to succeed so that we can tell the generation that comes next how not to do what we just made a mistake doing. Even if you're never going to be happy about your life, you can at the very least make sure nobody's sad about theirs. And Cisco does that every single day to the point that he forgot to be sad sometimes. And it's gorgeous because that's it. That's the fake it till you make it that people talk about. Like fake being okay with the situation you're in so that you can get through the situation and then deal with it at home, which Cisco does. He talks to people, he shares his feelings, he complains to the people that can hear him rather than complaining to the subordinate, rather than complaining to his favorite. No, he complains to the people that know how to give him wisdom to get through it. Like, again, SNG, SNW, whatever your acronym is, like, no excuse. Not a single excuse, because all of these other shows already took all the risks, and Parker literally started a podcast so that he could bring those shows back to the forefront. So whatever you're scared of about fan reception, how about you do some research and notice that the fans are still here just wanting prettier versions of what they've always had, which is deep sci-fi.
Just be ready. We have to rewatch DS9 again when we hit 1,000 fans, and then that's gonna have to be the 1,000 fan. No, I'm just kidding. We'll probably do a rewatch, but I'm honestly thinking like we'll probably have to do B5 soon. We got to do Enterprise. I love Enterprise.
I'll do the next rewatch of DS9 will be hosted in theaters across America for our live show.
Yeah,
we'll just rewatch each episode together and then do the discussion live.
I love
Fans,
it.
Audience.
That's what we'll do. Yeah, Fathom events coming soon. Ryder Brothers edition. We'll rewatch the episodes, and that'll be a weekly Ryder I'm going to do more community watch throughs. That's definitely something.
Well, dude, I've been trying to figure out what we would ever do for our live shows, and I feel like that's the perfect one. Bring everybody to a theater to watch the thing we're already all in love with, and then live discuss where they get to actually throw their
I want to do that for something like Mystery Men. Like, let's do a movie.
I want to do that. That's what I'm saying. That's our live show. It's just a watch through of a thing.
Watch Mystery Men on the big screen, and then we just have a live theater discussion. That's a good goal. Yeah, I like that. That's awesome. All right. Next up, so taking a break from all the seriousness of the Gamma and the Alpha quadrants, we have a really weird episode called Fascination. Storyline. It's the time of the Bajoran Gratitude Festival, and presider Kira is making preparations. She's expecting Vedic Bareil, and Chief O'Brien is anxiously awaiting the arrival of his wife and daughter. Odo is less happy. He had hoped to spend the festival with Kira. Jake is experiencing love sickness. His girlfriend Madra left for a university 300 light years away. When Bareil and O'Brien's family arrive, the Betazoid ambassador Loxana Troy is also in their shuttle. Dun dun dun. She has one goal: start a romantic relationship with Odo. When the festival starts, some more unusual attractions pop up. Jake suddenly falls in love with Kira, and Bareil abandons Kira to pursue Dax. Meanwhile, O'Brien's love life isn't too well. The 2 days he has spent with Keiko start off on the wrong foot. Shout out again to Arnold Teal for such a great synopsis.
Dude, are you going through and rewriting these as we're watching it? Because you can tell us.
Yeah.
A, you're nailing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
really would love to see that you're,
that would be awesome if, one of our 307 subscribers was doing that. That would be really cool.
And we'd love to have you on the channel.
Yeah.
Discuss it.
So, this episode is, I want to say skippable, but unfortunately it's got, arc story, with Jake and his girlfriend breaking up, so you kind of got to know about that. It's got, we learn more about Odo and that he might have some interest in somebody, which is understandable considering that, Kira was there when they found his home world, so
Well, it's definitely trauma bonding.
Yeah.
It's always been.
The dominoes are in place to, And, you know, it's we got a Loxana Troy, and this is
Loxana's funny. I always think about that episode in TNG when she's like reminiscing about her like old assistant or whatever, and she's like, "Oh, I had to get rid of him. His thoughts became right pornographic."
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, dude, to me, Loxana Troy is the epitome of executive producers thinking they figured out what worked. Like every time she shows up, it's to me what I imagine was like a lull in views, and so they needed to get her in the story because they thought that was the thing that was going to get the spike.
I don't know. There's something
like
spikes
it's the
down.
most choreographed thing ever. Like her whole appearance is so much like, see, guys, Star Trek does have sexual tension.
Well, and I mean, you know, how progressive. It's you know, a woman being resisted by a man, and it's like that doesn't happen. Men love female attention. Not like that. Not that strong. Maybe not always.
I mean, even there are ones that do like it that strong. It's just that's not who Odo was.
Not who Odo was.
They're like,
not
that's
who I am.
So funny. Because Loxana Troy goes after the guys that aren't into her. Wow. EP, thanks. I'm really glad your dad made us write that into the episode.
You know, yeah, it's less creepy, though, because it's a woman doing it and not a man. Even though if it was a man doing it, well, I guess we did get that in this episode, because it's DS9. DS9 knows how to play fair. DS9 knows how to take, you know, all sides of the argument and crumple them up against each other, because we had Bareil being creepy on Dax, and we had Jake being creepy on Kira, and we had Quark just being Quark, and it was like, well, okay, I guess he was, and it was all because Loxana was being weird on Odo, and it was...
She had a fever.
She had a fever, and the Kira should have been more cowbell.
Yeah, she can't read Odo, right?
No, because he doesn't have...
I feel like a lot of people think that's everybody's favorite part of Homer's Odyssey when they got stuck on the Love Island. I don't know which of those people are the ones that think that, but like everybody tried to fast forward those pages until they realized they were going to be on the test.
Yeah.
Like romance is never pushy. Romance is always earned. Like every romantic movie, even like look at The Notebook. What did Ryan Gosling do? He never gave up on his love for her. He was so willing to give up on all other potential avenues for love and just focused on building a house and building the life he promised her. And if she showed up, he would love her again. And she showed up, and that's the beauty of it. That's not what Loxana's doing. That's what she never does.
Pretty and interested in you. What more do you want? Gee, I don't know. Maybe their name? Maybe a chance to get to know you, to decide if I want to know you. I mean, it's like...
Maybe make yourself interesting. Like find out what that person likes.
Well, and then in her defense, like experiences. She is wild and over the top as a baseline, but she was much, much worse because of the fever or whatever she had in this particular episode.
Right, yes, we have our cop-out excuse to be creepy. We get that. Yeah. We're not arguing that. The problem is the excuse to be creepy was there to tell commentary, because unfortunately, this is shit that does happen in real life. Some people think themselves like, oh my god, I'm so pretty and talented. You want to sleep with me, right? No.
No.
On top of all of that, to SNW. See? The ones that came before you already made the mistakes.
No, these are the episodes they watch and they go, oh, this is what they like. It's creepy and cringy and cheesy.
This is what we were trying to do.
There we go. Yeah, well, that's how we got...
Dude, the EP that wrote SNW watched all the ones that his dad put his name on, and it's funny because that's when Loxana Troy was his dad's mistress. Like, that's it. Like, there is no other explanation for how you can get it so wrong with so much history, other than being like, I'm going to watch all the stuff my dad produced, and it was all the worst of Star Trek.
I mean, Terry Matalas did work on Voyager, and Enterprise had its problems, even though I do think it is the second best Star Trek series now.
Dude, that wasn't how you felt when it came out.
No, and that's because...
That to me is all part of this, is like, your opinion can change for sure as a person.
Well, hold on. I need to clarify. I want to clarify, in case this individual does happen to stalk my show. I want to make sure that they're aware that I was also under the influence of somebody else's arrogant opinions at the time Enterprise came out, and I wasn't really thinking for myself. That toxic individual has been purged from my life since 2016, so I don't, have to really worry about their lying and their psychopathy as much anymore. But that's also why my opinion started to change.
So I can't attest to its writing. I just remember you hating it, and I hope it's.
Do you not remember when I rewatched it in 2009 when I was looking for a job and I was being a lazy bum at home? Oh, no, I started rewatching it and I was like, oh, I was wrong about this show. It's actually really good. And it's actually really good. Even like season 1 and 2 can get a little bit of an acquired taste, but by the time we hit season 3, we're at warp 11 all the way to the end. Like it's season 4, it was finally starting to feel like Star Trek. And then of course, by the time the interest was killed because they made too many creative errors. Just like they've made with Strange New Worlds, just like they've made with Discovery, it's just too much departure from the source.
I listen to the Always Sunny podcast pretty much every single Monday that the episodes drop, and it's the 3 main writers on the show discussing every episode so far. And one of the things I'm really learning from them especially is how much it matters that the writers aren't infected with anything. Like, the way I'm starting to see modern Hollywood is it's so much more Game of Thrones in the writer room, where like, oh, actually, I'm Cersei Lannister and you're Ned Stark, and that's why this episode didn't work, is because we're on opposite sides of the table, and it's all because like 4 people in the EP room or the board room were like, talk to her about changing her writing, and talk to him about changing his writing, and talk to them about changing their writing. And now everybody's trying to like connive rather than just one conference. Like, stop these like micromanaging sessions, Kathleen Kennedy. That's what you did in Obliterated Boba Fett. Like, instead, let them write the whole thing. And then, like FX did with Always Sunny and still does with Always Sunny, goes, yeah, this is going to be rough. And then you just take it. And if it's not, awesome. And if it is, awesome. You learned. Now you can hire new people. But like, instead, they're like, no, we're going to pad these landings. So much padding that you have no content. It's all packing peanuts. And DS9's the example. This episode sucked. It was weird. It is not timeless.
All right. Which one did you like more? Did you like Run Along Home more than this one?
Yeah. No.
Which one's Run Along Home again?
The one where they get it's the game one.
This is what every grandma imagines.
Alan Rain, count to 4. Alan Rain, eat some more. Choke some.
This is what every grandma imagines middle school relationships are like. And like, this is that whole, like, this is the ultimate result of they pull your hair, that's why they like you. As a full episode, and it's cringe. Like, it's
God, I hate that shit so much. Oh, I'm mean to you and I'm abusive. It means I love you. No, it means you're obsessed. And you need to keep it in your pants.
I'm so in love with you. That's why you have to love me. You're so obsessed. It's abusive.
That's not how love works at all. You're in love with an idea. You're in love with the idea of me.
Well,
you don't know me.
love is an action, you know.
Well, yeah, it's an infinite energy colliding with temporary scared monkeys. I mean, that's how I described it in my something stupid video. It's just humans complicate it way more than it needs to be. You know, you either care about people or you don't.
Well, no, I think it is more complicated than we think it is,
Oh,
for sure.
God.
Like, well, no, in terms of like the way we feel towards puppies versus the way we feel towards babies versus the way we feel towards our partners. Yet at the same time, love is the absolute perfect way to describe all of those feelings. That's complicated. But what we saw in this episode, that was the most obvious representation of obsession.
It's obsessive
and
lust.
arrogance.
Yeah.
And
They're horn dogs.
like Jake is super into Kira because he's just super sure that she's the one for what? Like, if you take any retrospect, like any person that thinks they've met the one, take an hour, think about why. And in most instances, if you're right, you can come up with the longest list of pros with like 3 cons. Sometimes takes too long to trim her hair. Sometimes takes too long to take the trash out. Sometimes and then you're like, but I love the way her hair curls at this slight left angle at the Sunday mornings when she wakes up on this day because she did her hair that way that night. Like, what? Like, this isn't like obsession.
That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Good for you.
But that's the difference between like the one and I'm obsessed. Like, right. I'm obsessed is no, they're perfect because they're perfect, and I'm in love because I found the perfect one.
My stomach is going all crazy and feels the stuff. Yeah, that's because your body has decided that's a suitable mate. There's nothing,
and not even like off of anything. It just happened that day.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like you knew them the day before and your stomach was feeling like slightly up, like you felt peaks and rising. No, just suddenly today You're like, I am hard for this person.
All right. Well, we want to thank everybody for tuning in, whether you're watching on a replay, whether you lurked here live. We appreciate any and all support. And of course, to our podcast listeners, we're going to try and catch up this week. So if you hear this, it means I did it. If you don't and you hear it on a later episode, I am sorry. I'm Petey York, the Ryder Brothers.
Later.
We'll see you when we see you. This has been a presentation of the Ryder Brothers Tuesday Night Live Show. The Ryder Brothers, restoring respect into discourse.